let's go through. Alright, so pause because we've spotted an assassin. Alright, let's everybody stop. Let's have Joseph and Jathal move out to here. Let's have the support characters move to the back. Alright, here we go. Let's all focus fire on this fellow to start with. Oh, we have a bowman back here. Alright, so we don't want to leave him unmolested to just plink away at us. Let's try to daze him with our 2 spellcasters just to take him out while we work on these guys here. Ah, that reminds me, I should switch on cleave so that if I hit, I can hit the other guy as well. Ah, now that's terrible. We just had Tartuccio run right into melee combat to get in range to cast that spell. So keep in mind that setting up the spell yourself is probably a better idea than letting the AI take the shortest possible path to the closest possible point where they're in range of the target. Move and then cast yourself rather than letting the AI do it for you. Alright, let's have these 2 attack the assassin. Let's have... So at this point, with 2 weak characters stuck next to a melee combat enemy, it's sort of a dilemma. We want to move them away, but the game incorporates attacks of opportunity, meaning when you do things in combat that sort of open you up to attack, your enemies will take advantage of that opening and get sort of a free attack. So if we try to just move away, then in the terms of the game, that provokes an attack of opportunity. The way we could manage it is by sort of staying here and fighting defensively. So that'll give us a penalty on attack rolls, but we're not going to be attacking anyway. But it'll give us a hefty bonus to armor class while we're sort of stuck here. And that's really what we want. We want to not be hit while our combat characters clean up the threat. So let's see how that goes. Alright, excellent. So now that he's done, these guys are free to move, cast, attack with ranged weapons again. It turns out he never got a chance to attack them anyway. It was never likely that he would. But this is just to show the kind of tactical depths of the game here. And I'm sure in more kind of involved later battles, those kinds of situations and how you handle them will be sort of more common and more important. So something to keep an eye out on for later in the game. Okay, go clean him up. And in your case, just clink away at him. Nice shot, Tartuccio. So a critical hit. A 19 or a 20 is a critical hit with some weapons. A 20 is a critical hit with others. So on the critical hit, you get extra damage basically. So you get to roll the damage dice twice, and you get to add your bonuses to damage twice. Some weapons let you roll the damage dice 3 times, roll it and multiply your damage bonus by 3. Some weapons even let you quadruple your damage dice and your damage bonus. So there are weapons that are really devastating on a critical hit. But it looks like the light crossbow is just a times 2 critical hit. So.
Can it be the end?
Oh! That was me going down to -6 hit points somehow. What happened? What happened, Joseph? Did you get critically hit by an arrow again? Yes, you did. You did. Oh my god. Alright. That was nasty. but it looked like, despite going to -6 hit points, at which point he should have been well on the way to dying, he's popped back up with 1 hit point, which I could have sworn I turned off in the difficulty options. Yeah, there was a death's door option where instead of dying upon suffering a deadly injury, you just go to this death's door state, and then if you hit again, you die. That is off, so I don't understand why he went to -1, but came up -6, but came up with 1 hit point. That's pretty strange. I'd rather not have that, to be honest. I'd rather have a more kind of hardcore experience, but it doesn't look like there's an option to change that, which is very strange. Very strange indeed. I wonder if if this version of the game, this far out from release, has got this feature built in light of all the complaints about difficulty and lack of balance and that sort of thing. Alright, I won't spend any more time rambling and trying to find what I'm looking for in the difficulty menu. I think I'll look for that later. But yeah, that's something to note. It looks like unless you're out and out killed, stone dead in combat, you're going to pop up again without the need for healing or anything, as long as your companions survive and you win the battle. Alright, not great in my opinion, but let's push on and see where we get. Let's loot this ribcage first. And then let's go talk to the dwarf. This was the dwarf from the throne room, audience chamber, at the start of the game.
Hovering over me. It won't be much longer. Soon we shall meet, O Lord of Oblivion.
Alright, you don't sound too upset about dying, dwarf. So we have some options here. Generally, I think when you've got a sort of skill check or a ability check or a sort of special ability option type possibility, it's better to go with that than with one of the kind of standard non kind of skill checky ones. So we're going to go with one of the skill check options, diplomacy or intimidate. I'm not sure. So it tells you which character is the best for that particular attempt. And it looks like in both these cases we have a DC 15 check, and Tartuccio with a +9 to diplomacy and to intimidate is our best character for either. So even though it's Tartuccio going to make the response, we get to pick what he says, and being us and not him, we'll go with a diplomatic response, which is a kind of encouraging, it's just a flesh wound type response, rather than a kind of heartless and threatening attempt to bully him up. So let's try.
That's impossible.
Alright, so we succeeded at the diplomacy check. It tells us, helpfully, what we rolled.
Seems you might be right.
So we can see we rolled a 16, which was a good result, and would have, on its own, been enough for a success, but with the +9 we were well and truly over the line there. So we've encouraged the dwarf back up to his feet. Wonderful.
It seems I will live. I suppose I must postpone meeting my god, not for long I'm sure. But while we remain in this transient world, Aaron is at your service.
Alright, a gloomy dwarf. Okay, so he is a cleric, I'm guessing, since we're now learning about cleric spells. This is a nice feature of clerics, is that they get a whole range of spells, mostly kind of spells that protect or or buff up, improve the party's abilities in various ways. But also healing spells, which just restore hit points or which remove disadvantageous conditions like being poisoned or being sickened or stuff like that. And a nice little thing clerics can do is not bother preparing just their basic healing spells, sort of filling up all their slots with heal. They can prepare a range of different spells, useful in a range of different circumstances, and then as they need them, they can sort of convert their prepared other spells into healing spells. So they basically use the whatever divine energy that would have powered that specific spell to cast a healing spell instead, which is nice. It doesn't tell us how they do that here in terms of the interface, which is less than helpful. So let's see if we can just figure it out on our own, shall we? Because I could use some healing. So let's select Harry, the dwarf, and let's select his spell tab. So he's got Bless, so a sort of buff spell that helps him and his allies attack more accurately and resist fear effects more often. He's got Bane, which is kind of the opposite of Bless. It makes enemies less likely to hit and more vulnerable to fear. And he's got True Strike, which is a strange spell for a cleric to have, and I'm guessing that that's actually a domain spell, so each cleric, depending on their god, gets a couple of domains, meaning kind of thematic selections of spells, and they can pick from those at each level. So they can pick things that are typically off of the cleric list normally, and that give them, flavor appropriate spells. So I'm not sure what domain it is that gives True Strike, but we'll have a look in a second. For now, we want to try and convert one of these spells to a healing spell. So I'll keep Bless. I'd rather have the benefit, the automatic benefit of Bless on our party than the chance of a Bane effect on the enemies. Notice there's a saving throw for Bane. Bless just automatically works. So we'll hang on to Bless, and we're going to try and figure out how to convert Bane. There we go. It's that easy. So we just click the little arrow. That lets us select the level equivalent heal spell or cure spell. In this case, cure light wounds at level 1. Click that. Click Josus. And he changes Bane into quite a nice 8 hit points worth of healing for Josus. Alright, excellent. So we've picked up a useful new party member, and we will press on with him. Let's put him not right on top of Tartuccio. Let's put him up the front. Clerics tend to be kind of tanky. They can wear heavy armor. They can use shields. So we'll put him up the front, and we'll have a quick look at what he's wearing. Okay, chainmail, and he's using a heavy shield. What I might do is swap the light shield that I'm using for the heavy shield that he's using. Since the heavy shield gives a +2 bonus to armor class as opposed to the +1, and Josus is our sort of main tank, our main kind of rough and tumble combat character. He is going to be a sort of tank if needed, but mostly he's going to be a spell-casting support type character. So he doesn't have to have the best armor class. He can, so we'll give Josus the better shield, and that's probably the best way to distribute the equipment. Alright, let's push on. So formations, we've already discovered the custom formation feature, which is nice. Alright, it's quite a pretty little water effect. so here we have... So we finally found some guards that aren't dead on the floor. I'm going to save at this point. Excellent. And let's see.
You, run and get an axe. You, bring more water. You, stay here and hold our defense. Those assassins are still around here somewhere.
Alright. So, someone in charge.
Aha! Some of our guests survived. Good. You need to get to the banquet hall and help Lady Jamandi.
That's what we're trying to do. So we can ask who he is, what's going on, does he need help, where's the hall, or we can just go. Let's offer help.
No, we'll manage. I've got my best people here. Those who still live. Your place is by Lady Aldori's side.
Okay then.
It doesn't seem right. What if some of the guards are wounded? We need to help them.
Yep, that's a good point, Lindsay. Let's just work our way down through the questions.
A fighter in the service of Sword Lord Jamandi Aldori. Right now I'm in charge of the mansion guards. As you can see, there's a lot to do. Someone opened the gate, let in a group of assassins in the middle of the night. Now they've set the mansion on fire to cut off access to the hall. They don't want Lady Jamandi to get reinforcements. We cleared the passage so you can get through. Just try to avoid inhaling the smoke. We'll be right behind you. We just need to put out the fire first to save the mansion.
Alright, so we've got some directions, and we've got some advice. Alright.
You'll have to run through the fire. We've almost put it out at the entrance, so your main concern should be to not inhale any smoke. Hold your breath and take the first right, then head straight down the hallway.
Alright. So, looks like
May Abadar keep you safe.
Looks like we have to run into some burning building bits. Let's save here. Before we push on. Let's go in fully healed if we can.
This is my path.
So, let's have him drink another of those potions. Alright, so we're all at full strength. Just in case we sort of... Well, we're running into a burning building. Let's be at full health before we try that. Okay. Illustrated book episodes. So rather than actually play through this, it looks like it's going to be a choose-your-own-adventure type format. So it'll involve choices, skill checks. Okay, excellent. So this is a nice way to work in the skill point and sort of ability check mechanics to the game. Great. Alright. So our adventure started earlier and much more tragic than we'd expected. The whole team, who'd gathered in the hall yesterday and had been reduced to but a handful of brave souls, led by Joseph, and not at all by that scoundrel Tartuccio, no matter what he might have imagined of himself. Jamandi Aldori was waiting for us, but to get to her we'd have to march through fire, literally. As we approached the burning building, what did we do? Alright. Did we drench ourselves with buckets of water, try to find a less dangerous passage, or cover our noses and mouths before rushing inside? Well, talking to the guard, commander, captain type dude, the advice was to avoid inhaling any smoke. So, that sounds like that. So let's take his advice. Alright, it was a good thing we hadn't wasted any time. After entering the building and taking just a few steps forward, the wall behind us slanted and crashed down with a terrible crackling sound, blocking the way back. While we may not have planned on going back, if we'd come in a little later, the flaming logs and red-hot bricks would have fallen right on our heads. Regardless, we were left with only one way to go. Alright, so it looks like we, by that choice, avoided something bad. Nothing bad's happened to us yet. Let's continue. The hot air burned our lungs and our eyes watered from the smoke, but Joseph led us stubbornly through the flames, while Tartuccio did nothing useful at all. Oh, it's good having the historian on our side, isn't it? We'd made it to the hallway leading to the banquet hall when we heard someone calling for us. It was Valerie. Do we know Valerie? One of the guards I'd chatted with a bit in the banquet hall. Even then, in that calm setting, I'd been stunned by her beauty, but now, amid the smoke and flame, she looked like a celestial avenger, an armoured deity, menacing but beautiful and merciful, descending from the higher spheres to help us poor mortals. Lindsay does like her purple prose. She held a burned, barely living guard in her arms. There are 2 more, she shouted as she passed by us. They are wounded, help me pull them out. Tartuccio grumbled something about how Jamandi was waiting for us. Meanwhile, Joseph, what did he do? Did he rush to save the guards from the fire, or shout to Valerie that she should leave the guards and join us to help Jamandi Aldori? Well, here we've got a skill check for persuasion or a skill check for athletics. The athletics check is easier than the diplomacy check, slightly. We can see who's better at it. Right, so the best character for an athletics check only has a +2. The best character for a diplomacy check has a +9, so that means even though the diplomacy check's slightly harder, we're far more likely to succeed, given that Tartuccio's got that good bonus. But here's a sort of role-playing kind of element to the game. What would our upright, righteous, holy warrior paladin do in this situation? Try to convince someone to abandon people who need help, or try to help those people that need help? I was saying before, with sort of alignment stuff, there's always a few ways to spin each action. And here, as a lawful good paladin, you could make the case that the thing to do is sort of your most important duty, which is help your lord. Or you could make the case that your duty is to help those immediately in need. I'm going to go with 1 here. It sort of feels like the wrong choice mechanically and strategically, but the right choice in terms of the character. So let's just go with 1 and see how it plays out. So unsurprisingly, we've failed an athletics check. So we needed a 13 at least to succeed with only our +2 skill. We haven't got close to that. We failed the athletics check. Saving the poor fellows was harder than it had seemed. We inhaled a lot of smoke and burned ourselves more than once before managing to pull them away from the fire. Only then did Valerie pause to catch her breath and wipe the sweat from her face. "Thank you, that was truly noble of you," she said. "Oh good, so the game acknowledges that we've sort of picked the noble choice. And now let's rush to Lady Aldori's aid." And assuring the guards we'd rescued were relatively safe, we made our way to the hall where the battle was already in full swing. Alright, so it looks like we've taken some damage as a result of failing the check, but we've done the noble thing, which is what we were trying to do, rather than sort of talking her out of helping. And we're through the fire, so let's see where we're at. Okay. Guard. We can talk to the guards, excellent. So we went in fully healed up. We've all taken some damage. 1 hit point in their cases, 2 hit points in mine. Alright, so let's have a talk to the guards before we push on. Oh, there we go. We get a nice thank you and some vow of vengeance for the arsonists if they ever get their hands on them. Alright, so we've got Valerie in our party as well now. Excellent. Fatigued. Alright, I didn't notice that. There we go. So, on this little sidebar next to the portrait is where character conditions get noted, and all of our characters are currently fatigued, which means we're taking a penalty to strength and dexterity, -2 for both of those stats, that's significant. So that's going to affect our effectiveness in combat. It's going to affect our dexterity skill checks, strength skill checks, our dexterity-based saving throw. So being fatigued is not fantastic. I wonder if that's the consequence of having failed the athletics check rather than passed it when we opted for that course of action, or whether we would have ended up fatigued anyway. We just don't know, but my suspicion is if we'd have passed that athletics check, perhaps we wouldn't have been fatigued. Alright, So let's move to where we can see everyone a little better. Let's have a look at Valerie. Oh, let's save the game before we go any further. Let's have a look at Valerie and see who we've picked up now. So she is a Tower Shield Specialist, which is probably some variant of Fighter. Yep, so she's got Fighter is her class, Tower Shield Specialist would be this sort of special flavour of fighter that she is. She has Toughness and Dodge as feats, so 2 feats that make her harder to hit and harder to put down even if you can hit her, so great. She has a Tower Shield equipped, which is a good thing for a Tower Shield Specialist, and it means her armor class should be very good, and it is. She's got a 22 armor class with the Tower Shield, her Dodge feat, and her Banded Mail armor, which is heavy armor, I think. Let's have a look. Yeah, so she's got a heavy armor, big shield, feat, defensive-oriented feats. So she's clearly the sort of character designed to kind of stand in the middle of melee combat and attract enemies' attention and weather that, while other characters do the taking enemies out thing. Alright, so let's have a look at what she's swinging around. A Masterwork Bastard Sword, so nice. And yeah, let's pop her up the front with the rest of our frontliner type characters. Let's do that. That's probably not a terrible way to actually. Let's do that. No, let's make our own. Where's the fun in doing it? Pre-made ones. Let's have Harim, me, Joseph, and Valerie up the front. Let's have Jathal there in the back, and then at the very back let's have these 2. Alright. And let's push on to see what lies ahead. Now I sort of suspect this is uncollected loot. When you leave a location, you can review uncollected loot from defeated enemies and decide if you want to take it or leave it behind. Okay, so this looks like an auto loot dead enemies feature when you leave an area. Again, this is another quality of life, ease of use versus immersion type feature. If you haven't already noticed, I'm not a huge fan of these kind of immersion breaking for the sake of convenience type features. I understand why they'd be implemented. One good reason to do it, aside from just laziness, is that if you've missed an important item, like a quest item, for instance, on a dead enemy, for whatever reason, maybe you didn't bother looting it, maybe you didn't notice the corpse in a pile of corpses or behind something on the screen in the sort of environment that kind of blocked it, then this could make sure you get that and you don't get stuck for lack of it. So I can see there's sort of good reasons to build in a feature like this. I do find it a bit immersion breaking though, that we can magically drag all the dead enemies' copper pieces to us when we walk through this door. But okay, fair enough. Alright, let's save again here. And push on through to what is probably the climactic bit of this prologue tutorial introduction slash beginning of the game. Okay, if your kingdom, once we get it, I guess, is destroyed, the game will be over. Fair enough, good to know. Whoa, that's a lot of enemies. And there's the giant. Okay, so Jamari Aldori is fighting the frost giant, which, if you remember from before, can cast Cone of Cold, which is a powerful spell-like ability that deals ice frost damage in vast amounts. So let's hope she's all she's cracked up to be. We're certainly not going to be much help against that thing. We might be more help against these. nefarious people. Alright, so here we've got 6 assassin types, 3 rift channelers, whatever those are, we really don't have any idea. They're probably the people responsible for maintaining this effect somehow. Let's first of all do some quick buffing. So let's have Harem, our cleric, cast Bless to give us all a bonus to hit and a save bonus versus fear effects. Not that we're expecting them, but nice to have it. Let's have Lindsay, our bard, use her bardic ability to inspire courage. So we kind of want to stack on all the bonuses we can before this big fight. Let's see if we can dive into our inventory. So we can dive into our inventory without unpausing the game and have a quick look at what items we have that we could use that would be helpful. So enlarge person will make me bigger and stronger, and that's a good thing when you're fighting half a dozen assassins, so let's grab that. I can't use that, so there's no point having it. Nothing else here really jumps out as immediately very useful, so let's just have
This is my path.
our potion of enlarged person, and then let's see if Tartuccio has anything he can contribute in terms of spells. No buffs. Alright, it'd be nice if we could set up Burning Hands and take out, or at least damage a bunch of these enemies at once, but we'll just have to see how that goes. Alright, Jaethor, what can she do? She can cast a self-buffing spell, so Divine Favour will give her a bonus to hit and to damage, so we'll take that. And yeah, let's let those buffs go off, and then let's get into combat. I wonder if we can save here. Yes, good. Alright, so never a bad idea to save before a big battle. So we've got our buffs up, and we're going to wade in here to help our... Ooh, how much help do you need? You're critically hitting the Frost Giant for swathes of damage. Alright, we better hurry up if we're going to help her at all. She might sort it out herself. Alright, let's move forward. Excellent, now we're in combat with them. Alright, so, target prioritization. We've run into these assassins before, we know roughly what they do. We haven't run into an assassin leader before, or a rift channeler, so let's try to take out the assassin leader first, if we can. Or at least to neutralize him. So he can't do nasty assassin leader type stuff to us. Alright. We can't just run through here though, because we'll get blocked or attacked on the way past by these guys. So maybe we want to send you that way first. No, you're going to womble around, stuck in amongst everyone. Okay, in that case, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get around to him, so we'll just have to fight our way through to him. No worries at all. Let's have all of you focus on this guy. Hopefully we'll take one out each round and be on our way. Let's have you two move up to here. No, not that far. Let's have you just move up to... Okay, so we've seen the assassin leader cast the mirror image, so he's not just an assassin, he's some sort of spellcaster. which could spell trouble for us if he starts slinging offensive spells our way. So let's see if we can have Lindsay and Tartuccio lock him down. I don't seem to be... Ah, there we go. Excellent. Let's have you three attack him. Let's have me go and attack the assassin leader, who is now currently dazed, which is nice. Okay. Oh, nice. So, what happened there? Amiri? Where's Amiri? When did Amiri get involved? I'm so confused. Amiri's exploding assassins in welters of blood and I can't see her. Alright, here we go. So, we want all of us to focus on the assassin leader. Let's have Tartuccio cast... let's stick with trying to daze lock the assassin leader too. So 2 saving throws against daze, hopefully he fails 1, that keeps him out of action while the rest of us beat him down. There we go, he's dazed again, excellent. Alright, this seems to be going fairly well. Okay, so... Ah, that's a nice thing. So, he made his concentration check, which is forced by taking damage when trying to cast a spell. So it's not great that he made one, because that means he'll get the spell off despite taking the damage. But it's nice to see that mechanic's being built in. It means spellcasters, if you can get into melee range and start whacking them, become much less likely to land spells on you. So that's good to see. Alright. Wonderful. Maybe you can just start pumping him full of arrows as well. Alright. Joseph attacked Assassin Leader with unarmed strike. I'm confused about why he's unarmed. I don't remember telling him to use his bare hands. Did enlarged person somehow unequip my weapons? That would be a very strange thing to have to monitor. Alright, let's get his sword out. Right, I'm very confused about why he waded in with his fists instead of swinging the sword that he'd been using all the way up until this point. But okay, we managed it anyway. Let's move on. Why don't you go help Amiri kill that guy? Not that she needs any help. Alright, Joseph, you were definitely not the MVP. Holy my god. I forget my god's name, but holy that god. There's a Hydra. I guess Aldori just took out a frost giant, so maybe a Hydra, which is a sort of dragony, snaky type monster, as you can no doubt see, with many heads. Maybe that won't be as much of a problem as you might think. Let's hope not, because it's not something we can help all that much with, but we better at least look like we're trying. Whoa! Alright. Well done. And now I'm shrinking like it's a sudden cold snap. Alright. I'm very confused about why Enlarged Person left me swinging my fists around instead of my sword. That would be an amusing bug if I didn't somehow accidentally unequip my sword myself. So let's let's watch out for that one in future. But we won, and we didn't lose anyone. We didn't even take any real damage. So that's great. Let's quickly save. I think Amiri helped a lot, certainly a lot more than Josus did there. But hopefully the tactics played some role in that success. We focused on what looked like the biggest threat, which was the assassin leader. We tried to lock him down with our spellcasters by making him make multiple saves against daze or lose his actions for that round, while all the rest of our characters focused on hurting him and taking him out as fast as possible. Then we kind of mopped up the more vanilla assassins that we'd already encountered and sort of knew the capabilities of. So what could have been a kind of nasty spellcasting assassin leader type didn't end up doing much, if anything, to us, which is great. Let's quickly search the bodies before we talk. Ooh, nice. So the assassin leader had quite the collection of items. And again, I sort of wonder why, if he had a potion of healing, he didn't drink it at some point. If he had a potion of bark skin, which improves his armor class, he wouldn't have drunk it before going to fight the Lord in the Lord's main chamber. Well, he was probably wearing those, let's not be too silly. If he had acid and alchemist fire, why didn't he throw it at some point? So, yeah, it's a feature of these sort of games, I guess, that enemies drop loot that you think would have been far more likely to get used than left in their pockets. But so it goes. I do remember, to digress for a moment, a great mod for Baldur's Gate, one of the sort of classic games in this genre, that actually scripted enemies to use these consumables in intelligent ways, and it made the enemies much, much more effective, in the same way that player characters and the NPCs in your party are much, much more effective when you actually use the things in your inventory. So the NPCs and the enemies in Baldur's Gate with this mod installed were much more effective. And so, you know, the difficulty went up, obviously, but so did the realism, and it made the game a lot more interesting, I think, as a result. So, not surprising that this one's designed to give you loot rather than have your enemies consume the consumables if you don't take them out quickly enough. But yeah, interesting to see if there's ever mods for this game that do a similar thing. For now, let's grab it. Oh, let's loot the rib cages as well. More potions that they didn't get a chance to drink. Thank you very much. And can we talk to Amiri before we talk to the Lord?
We should move.
We can, she says. Optimism from the angry barbarian as opposed to pessimism from the gloomy dwarf. We're already full, so I'm hoping we get a chance to swap out someone for Amiri. We can loot the Frost Giant as well. Frost Giant's wearing a chain shirt and swinging a great axe, which is a hefty weapon indeed. Let's grab that. Alright, so we've looted, we've talked to Amiri. Let's save. Kind of paranoid with the saving after all the reports of bugginess in this game and crashes and whatnot. Haven't seen anything like that yet, thankfully, happily. But rather than risk losing our progress after such a, wonderful victory, let's just keep saving. Alright, let's talk to the Lord.
Thank you for your valor and bravery. The enemy was strong, but you were stronger. And that means I made the right choice. Just as I thought, there were worthy leaders among you. I'm especially grateful to them for the courage and common sense they showed while defending the mansion. But this attack means we have even less time than I thought. Someone already knows of our plans and is acting against us. You'll begin your expedition immediately.
Okay.
Lady Aldori, please, I know who arranged this attack. The vile king of Pitax, Iroveti. What's more, I know who among us works for him. Hey, you! Show everyone the ring you're wearing. You think I wouldn't recognize Hiroveti's seal? That's why he wasn't killed. The bandits recognized him as one of their own by this signet ring.
Alright, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, you chaotic evil gnome, you. Alright, so unsurprisingly, Tartuccio has turned on us and is trying to paint us as a traitor or an infiltrator or one of the bad guys. We have a few ways to respond. We could just shout liar and attack, which seems ill-advised. Here we've automatically made and passed a knowledge world check. As a result, we can say this, which I guess is sensible, that Tartuccio looks far more like a P-Taxan. He looks more P-Taxese, anyway, than us, and cast suspicion back on him as a result. Or we can try a skill check, which we've got a pretty good chance to pass given our diplomacy score, and basically tell the truth to the Lord about Tartuccio being the one who gave us the ring that he's now using as evidence against us. So let's try the skill check.
Yes.
And
Such
we
a
pass.
would be typical
Oh,
of
we
Hiroveti
don't pass by
intentionally.
much.
And yet, it still
But we
seems
pass.
suspicious.
And Aldori looks like she believes us and is sympathetic to the case that we've made, but not convinced. Alright?
There's definitely a spy among us. But who?
Oh, is it the paladin or is it the chaotic evil gnome?
I'm afraid you're both under suspicion.
Sure. Detect alignment, please. Can we claim a right to detect alignment spell? No. We have to play
I
through it.
bet my life despise anyone but this man. I saw how he dealt with those creeps with my own eyes. A true warrior. I'd go with him through hell and high water. This purple crook, on the other hand, he's got the eyes of a spy and the mug of a spy.
Alright, Amiri, preach it. So, she's on our side. That's good.
Lady Aldori, don't listen to this thick-headed barbarian. She doesn't know what she's talking about. During the attack, our leader showed his true colors. He forced us to break into the armory and rob it.
Right, so here the chest in the armory comes back into play. If you remember, he was encouraging us to take the money from the chest. Lindsay was discouraging us from doing that, saying it wouldn't be heroic. We decided not to do it on the grounds that it wasn't our money, it was stealing, blah blah blah. And now, because we've taken the weapons from the racks and the armor from the racks, we're still being painted as thieves by Tartuccio. So we can try to justify this to... It would be interesting to see if this pops up even if you didn't take any of the items off the racks even, let alone the money out of the chest. That's an interesting question about the way they've set up this this bit of the game. But we did take the weapons, even if we didn't take the money out of the chest. So now we have a choice of ways of justifying that to Lady Aldori. And there's no lawful good, like exactly our alignment option here, but we'll go with the lawful neutral one because it matches one component of our alignment. And it's a sensible thing for us to say. So,
Considering the circumstances.
alright, we succeeded
that
on the
was more than
diplomacy check.
reasonable.
Wonderful. And Aldori is in agreement with us that was perfectly fine. Okay, wonderful. Take that, gnome.
Sometimes one must act at one's own risk and peril until crossing the boundaries of what is allowed. Showing initiative is no crime.
Right, looks like Valerie's lining up on our side of things as well. So Amiri and Valerie, definitely two that I would like to have hung on to. So that's good.
It is insane when faced with death to stop and question whether you may be breaking some law or rule. Even more insane would be to ask forgiveness for making the right decision. Sorry, but your words display a lack of wisdom.
Alright, so the gloomy dwarf is not on our side when it comes to our taking the armour and weapons and our reasons for doing so. So he's sort of parting ways with us, or at least criticising us. So yeah, here it looks like the choices we're making are affecting which NPCs are well inclined toward us and which aren't, which are going to stay with us most likely and which are not. So, so good, this is what we're expecting. We're expecting the game to respond to the way we play.
What about that trick he pulled right before we came in here?
What trick?
He knew very well you were fighting the enemy, but instead of rushing to help you, he dallied as long as he could, dropping everything to save people from the fire, even though the guards were handling things just fine. He was obviously hoping to show up too late and find you already dead.
Alright, so here one of our choices again comes back to confront us, so the choice to try and save the guards in the fire. Well, there's two ways to justify it. One in terms of a neutral good alignment, one in terms of a neutral evil. Same diplomacy check difficulty for both. And obviously we're going to try.
Trying to save others is commendable, but Tartuccio's right. You were needed here more.
So we've managed to fail a fairly easy diplomacy check, which is unfortunate, but not impossible. So we needed a 6 or better, and we rolled a 2. That's a bit unlucky, but okay. We'll push on. We still get the credit for doing the picking the neutral good option, but we don't have the influence, the effect on Aldori that we were hoping to have. Alright.
Shellen spare me for ever having to make such a choice, but he behaved decently as a true leader.
Alright, so Lindsay is impressed with that choice, even if our roll wasn't fantastic, so it looks like she's going to stay on our side too.
A true leader is someone who has their priorities straight, not someone who would put a valuable ally's life in danger for the sake of some servant.
Alright, I can't say I'm heartbroken to see the evil undead elf go.
Enough squabbling. I'm not sure which of you I can trust. However, the risk of entrusting the whole affair to a spy is too great. Here's what we'll do. 2 teams will head out. That way, I'll know at least one group can be counted on to serve my interests in the stolen lands.
Alright, go team, not spy. That would be us.
Lady Aldori, most of those who are to settle for the stolen lands have been killed. Those who yet live will require help. Please allow me to join the expedition.
Alright, on our side, I hope.
I'm sad to lose such a talented warrior. But you're right, Valerie. They have greater need of you right now. Go, and may Abadar keep you. Which of the 2 teams would you prefer to accompany?
Are we going to be surprised by her choice?
If my leader allows, I will join his team. He seems a worthy commander in my eyes.
Excellent. We're very glad to have Valerie on our side.
Commanders, military leaders, all these laws and rules are but dust and vanity. I suppose I will accompany Tartuccio.
Alright, good luck with that.
Our leader is good in battle, but I don't like all the spiritual agonizing. I prefer those who can act without wasting time helping every little pipsqueak. Those like Tartuccio.
And again, good luck with that.
Tartuccio's going to take the credit for himself and be done with it. Shellen, spare me from such allies. I'm going with you. You're a hero worthy of my quill.
Excellent. We've got the bard on our side too.
I don't even need to think. I'm coming with this man. As for you, Purple Snow, just wait until we meet along the way. I'll be sure to hang your rotten spine guts from the trees.
Miri, fantastic.
Alright, we have 2 teams. To avoid unnecessary conflict on the road, you'll each take a different route to the stolen lands. Tartuccio's team will go through Navacta's crossing. The garrison commandant will provide him all the help he needs. You will take your team to Oleg Leviton's trading post. He's been complaining about the Stag Lord's bandits for a while now. There, you'll be provided with all the necessary travel supplies.
Okay. Let's go.
I'd like to believe you, but I know all too well how convincing traitors and spies can be. If you're truly innocent, I hope you can forgive me this precaution.
Sure can.
While you're away, Keston will investigate the night's events. and learn who in Restov is working for Patax. But you should know that it isn't just Patax we need to worry about. The royal house of Sertova may also interfere in our plans. I've managed to keep this affair a secret from them so far, but that can't last long. By my estimations, you have no more than 3 months. After that, any feats you accomplish will be pointless.
Alright, so we have a clock on the mission. 3 months of game time to defeat the Stag Lord and claim the stolen lands. Alright, wonderful.
And now, farewell. This battle was but the first ordeal along your path, and you overcame it as true champions of Restov. May the obstacles that follow also fall to your feet. Fear nothing, my friends, and return victorious.
Good pep talk. Alright, so that looks like the end of the introductory sequence. We've got some companions, we've learned our way around the interface.
Surviving a terrible night, our small team set off to brave our fate. Beware, stolen lands. Heroes are on the way.
I really like the art. It's nice. Okay, so here's yet another different way of playing this game by the look of it. So you've got your kind of isometric, sort of top-down point-and-click move type sections, which are your traditional computer role-playing game looking bits. There's those choose-your-own-adventure book bits where you pick options and make skill checks, and that's really cool too. And then there's this, which is like an overworld map, or a kind of big map of the area, and you move around as this little marker somehow, I guess by clicking on it. And I wonder how this is going to play out. I'm going to leave it here because it's almost 2 hours and my voice is going. So that's the full playthrough of the introductory sort of prologue bit of the game. And next time I'll start out onto the world map and see what we find. Let's hit save, and let's leave it there.